Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to see a recap of the last week. So it's going to be really short. Even, because some of the trades we have already, saw them in other videos where I, broke down the trade. So this is going to be short. I just want to go through all the trades that I took this week and I want to comment a little bit. So we are going to start with the stocks first, and then we are going to see the only trade that is still open on the forex side, and was the trade on US 30. Well, this week starts from from the 4th of May, and we start with this trade CRML, and this is the setup. As you can see, the setup is almost always the same. This is just a little bit different because this is not, let's say, it's trending, but it's not like the usual environment where we see that price is really trending, maybe it's gapping up. This is just, let's say, stuck, even if it's not stuck, but stuck in a range, as you can see. We have a white line. This white line was the accumulation for me. So if price was, above that line, for me was a good zone to try to find a buy in the lower time frame. If the price was below that zone, I wouldn't have touched it, because for me it just meant that the overall price was in an accumulation. I don't want to trade when price is in an accumulation. So price was above, so for me was a good sign. And then, as you can see, price break that consolidation with a big impulse, and then gave a pause. So for me was another good sign, another, let's say, check on the checklist. And then the entry, the usually entry that I usually take, the double MB entry. And this was a break even, because this, as you can see, is how it went. I just could have broke even there, but I didn't. And I waited for price. This, I got lucky. I waited for price to come back to break even, then I manually close it. Okay, so yes, usually because of that candle, because I didn't see strength in here, I didn't break even. But yes, definitely, this is personal preference. It depends on personal preference. But I definitely could have broke even there. But yeah, this was, let's say, luck. Then we have the other trade from the 5th of May, CRDO. And this is another trade where price broke the accumulation, this white line. So for me, everything above this line is something that I'm willing to consider for a long. We have our push on the validation time frame with the pause, and then our double MB entry. And this trade was another break even. As you can see, price went up. Then with this second candle, since the first candle was very powerful, with this second candle, I just broke even, and then price came back, and there's nothing that we can do. We just aim to be positioned in the best way possible, and then we just can't control the outcome of the operation, okay, of the trade. So we just need to wait, and this is another break even. Then we have another trade, always from the 5th of May, GLXY, and this one was a trending environment. So the previous one, let's say, was something like there, okay, because as you can see, price just broke from the accumulation. It managed, to get out from the accumulation. In this one, price is already trending, is already in a consolidated stage 2. And so yeah, both of these setup are valid for me, because we have the push on the validation time frame. So we have the push on the validation time frame. We have our pause, as you can see, push, pause, and then our double MB entry. The entry, as you can see, is always the same. Sometimes it happens that price taps the 20 and goes. Sometimes it happens that price taps the 50 because in the validation time frame we just managed to touch the 10 EMA. So it depends on the setup, but I usually wait for a tap in the validation time frame. I usually wait for a tap on the 5, on the 10, or on the 20. I prefer the 5 and 10 because it means if price can't touch the 20, it means that the trend that we have is strong enough and that the 5 and 10 EMA are enough to sustain the price to continue going higher. So I usually prefer a bounce on the 5 on the 10, but sometimes it depends on the setup and on the price section. I also trade a bounce out of the 20 EMA in the validation time frame. And this one was another break even. So we had a lot of break evens, but this is the game. And as you can see, I wasn't able to break even with this candle because it just went up and then went directly down on my entry level. So I wasn't able to break even. So I waited, I almost took my stop loss, then came back. And then when something like that happens, I already know that there is no strength behind my trade. And so I'm not willing to stay in the trade. So as long as price comes back, to the break-even level, I just manually close the trade because I'm not interested anymore to stay in that specific trade because of the environment, because of how price is moving, because of the overall context that is going on in that specific trade. So this one was another break-even. Then we have another trade from the fifth. So three trades from the fifth, and this was NVT. It was NVT, and this is the same trending environment. Push, as you can see, price exited. You managed to get out from this accumulation. Push, pause. I really, love this pause because it was really polished as pause. It was a control sell off. Okay, and then we have this entry, but this was a mistake. This was a mistake because I don't remember if it was this one. Yes, this was in liquid as a trade. I didn't see, these gaps that we have. So when price in 3 minutes has these gaps, it means that it's in liquid. It's better not to trade on a lower time frame because you can have slippage issues. So that was not a good trade, but was not a good trade even for another reason, because this is not the pose that I'm waiting for. And I will be making a video where I talk about that because this was the mistake that I made for the majority of the challenge. And that is the reason why I faced that big drawdown. So a lot of break-evens and a lot of losses in a row, that it's not quote unquote normal, okay, for my strategy. But I really didn't notice that since 2 or 3 days ago. So this was the mistake. That was not the pose, the second pose I usually look for. So this was a mistake, but fortunately enough, it ended up to be a break-even. As you can see, oh, wait, this is something. Okay, yes, it was a break-even because I closed it because it was in liquid. So I don't know if it played out in a nice way or not, but I closed it because this is not what I was looking for. Manually close to break even. Okay, then we have the big win. We already broke down that trade in another video. So we have the same environment as you can see. Price is, let's say, out of a big accumulation, then it's trending, it's one-sided, then we have the push and the pause, and we have our double MB entry with the 20 EMA that is sustaining the price. And then we have our big winners, and you already know that if you saw the previous video. So nothing to say about this one. There were another trade to open there, and I talk about that specific scenario in the previous video where I broke down the trade. Unfortunately, I didn't take the other trade, and so it could have been two trade with 7+R, but it ended up being only one trade with 7R. But totally happy with how I managed the trade and what happened. So if you want complete breakdown of that trade, just go on the of on the previous video where I break down the trade. Then we have another break even. This was the IONQ trade. The winner was from the 6th of May, and then we have from the 7th of May we have another trade, and the trade is this one: training environment, pause on the context time frame. So we are just, let's say, recovering the trend. Then we have the push, as you can see, and then our double MB entry again. And this was again a break even. This was very, very good. As you can see, this candle was very, very good. I thought that this trade would have skyrocketed, and instead, after the first candle that made 1 to 2 in really seconds, just came back to break even and then chop around. So yeah, it is what it is. Perfect. And then we have from yesterday, we have the two losses. So the overall R gained in the week was 5, because we have 1.7, a lot of break evens, and two losses. And these two losses are from yesterday. And as you can see, the setup is always the same, but unfortunately, it ended up, to be two losses. So context is really good. We have a really big push and the pause on the 10 on a rising, really rising 10. Then we have our double MB entry, but it ended up to be a loss, as you can see. It just tapped us in, and then came back. This was a good trade, so I just wanted to trade again because it was a good context. So the next trade is always the STX trade, because it was another big setup, another good setup, because sometimes price just bounce, goes, retrace, pull backs a little bit, and then goes. So this for me was a really, really big setup, because we have two double MB, two bigger double MB, and within the second MB, the bigger MB, we had another double MB. So for me, this was a very, very, very big trade, and the candles demonstrate its strength behind it. So I decided to take this setup. I usually don't take more than two trades in a zone. If I have two losses in a zone, for me, that asset is not strong enough for me to be willing to put my money in it, to put the risk in it. So I walk away. And unfortunately, this ended up to be, a loss again, because we have been tapped in. We have a few candles, but we just couldn't, break even the trade, because it barely moved, and then with one candle, it took out, it took the stop loss. So nothing to do in this trade. So this was the week from the 4th of May to, let's say, the 8th of May, Monday to Friday. So with 5R gained. This breakdown, let's say the weekly breakdown, will be something that I will do on a weekly basis, and I like to talk about the RRs instead of percentage of risk. But that I risk 0.25%, but I really love to talk with you about R's, because R's is universal, let's say, way of calculate the profit in trading. So everyone will choose another, let's say, risk. So it could be 0.10%, 0.25%, 0.5%, it depends, 1%. So I really don't like to talk about the percentage, because it depends on the um, the risk exposure that once has. So I will be talking about ours in every of the breakdown that I will be doing in the future. And I hope that you get used to it, because this is the best way to calculate our profit in Forex. Always calculate the profit in RRs, okay? Never in money or percentage on the account. Just RRs. That's the most important thing. And then we have the other trade on the Forex that I think that it will be a break even. We are still in that trade, but it almost took us, yes, out for a break even, but we were lucky enough. But we were unlucky because we didn't hit the partial, so I wasn't able to uh, partial my 50%, and so I'm there, in the limbo, because I don't know what will happen next week. But this for me is already a break even, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, as you can see here in the V, this is strength. As you can see, this is strength, because we had the push, the pause, sorry, the push, the pause, another push, another pause, and then we have another pause. So this is for me a range. It's most likely, that price will end it up at break even. But we don't know, so we just have to wait for the next week in order to understand what will happen. So the overall week was a lot of break evens, one big wins that could have been twos, but was only one, two losses on the same asset, and this trade that is still running, that managed to make 4 point, I don't remember, 4.6, but my partial it at 5, so 4.6, and now is, at break even. It's 1 to 1, I think. Yes, it's 1 to 1 right now. So really, 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 um, I wouldn't say a week, but nothing exceptional. Okay. And I just want to do this breakdown, not only to show you what I did in the week, but also because even if I trade the lower time frame, because I have a 3 minute entries in the stocks, at the end of the day, I only had in the whole week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entries. Okay, so even even if I have, and I'm going to show you, this is my screener. As you can see, we have 85 symbols, and every single day we have from 70 to 120 symbols that could potentially set up. So even if I have 85 symbols to check, as you can see, every single day, I had only 8 trade during the week. This means that you need to be able to filter your setup. This is the most important thing. Even if you have a lot of assets that are showing up in your screener because they could potentially set up, at the end of the day, you need to further filter the trade to take only the best one. And this is how you should approach the trading, because what you can see in the internet, it's that just you should trade everything, that you should, or maybe focus only on one asset, on one pair, or like say a lot of gurus I saw online trade gold and only gold, and gold is the god, and they made 2-3 trades a day in gold. They trade in environment that it's not something feasible. It's not something that you should do. I saw a lot of trader just showing you that they took trades in a zone, there was an accumulation, and they say it was hard this week. Yeah, it was hard because it was an accumulation. You do not have to trade in an accumulation, but they say that they trade in accumulation was hard, as if they were obliged to trade in that specific environment. And what I want to share with you is the complete opposite. You do not have to trade in those environments. This is why even if I have 85 assets that are showing up in my screener every single day, I ended up taking only 8 trades during the whole week. Okay, this is very, very important. Just get used to filter the trades, to select only the, let's say, A plus setup, where everything is aligned, where the price action is clean, where the sell-off is clean, nothing too wiki, nothing that you can understand. If you can understand something, okay, this is not important advice. If you can't understand something, and when I say something, I mean price action, just move on. If you can't understand, you should not invest in it. Okay, this is a general principle in investment world. If you don't understand, don't invest in it, but it works only for even for trading. So if you don't understand what's happening with the price action, just move on and don't trade that asset, because it means that it's not clear. It's not something maybe that you are used to seeing. And pattern recognition, recognition is something that is fundamental in trading, because at the end of the day, trading is only pattern recognition, is repeating the same pattern every single day. Okay, so I don't want that this video, I don't want it to be too long, so I'm gonna wrap it up now. But yeah, this is important. Okay, guys, so get used to trade way less than what you expected in order to see your equity core grow. Well, thank you for being with me with another video. We will be doing this kind of video every single week, and maybe even every single month, just to have a summary of everything what happened. And I hope you like. Just leave in the comment if you like, and if you have any question, just drop in the comment, and I will be answering as soon as possible. Thank you again, and we're gonna see the next video.